Hello there, welcome you again to the TQ 8 classes. So in previous lecture I think the introduction to probability is helpful for you all. So today we are going to discuss about the algebra of events. Okay, so this is the next part of our lecture. So let's get started. So before proceeding to the algebra of events or the operations that will those are used in the set theory is also valid in your probability theory, right? So what will happen? See, the probability generally it will start with a random experiment. We all know, right? So in a random experiment, generally we will have a sample space, right? So this sample space is treated as your universal set, right? And under this sample space we would have the events which satisfy certain rules. So if I'll give you a few examples, or example given, say your A, B or C, let us say these are the events. These are treated as sets. Okay, so what do I mean? That the concept of set theory is also valid in your probability theory. Okay, so if I'll go for the operations or the algebra of the events, that means operations on events, okay, or the algebra of events also I can say. So generally what will happen, the entire sample space we have, this will be taken as a sample, the universal set. Okay, this is the sample space we have, this is taken as the universal set. Then let us say this is the event A and this is the event B we have. Okay, so this is A and this is B. Then the other things you know is the A intersection B and all this, but our concern is that, let me just write all this. This is your A intersection B, that means the events those are common to both A and B. This is A intersection B. Then what are the other things? This is called your A intersection B complement. Okay, and the other thing from the set B we have, this is your A complement intersection B, or B difference A, and this is your A difference B, this part. Okay, so now let us write the operations here. Okay, so the very first I will take the A complement, and this is what all the outcomes of the sample space which are not present in your A. Okay, right? So omega is, let me just give you an example how I am getting the omega. Let us say toss a coin twice. Okay, basically what happened, each of the outcome of the sample space is treated as your omega. Okay, or the omega 1, omega 2, omega 3, omega 4, like that. So here the sample space is your HH, okay, HT, TH and TT. So generally what happened, each of the outcome will be taken as, here this is your omega 1, omega 2, omega 3 and omega 4. That means A complement is the event or the outcome which is in the sample space and not a part of your given event A. Okay, the second part is your A union B. That means these are the set of outcomes of the sample space which is either in A, okay, or in B, right? The third one is your A intersection B. This we all know is the set of outcomes of the sample space such that those are common to both A and omega also a part of B. That means your A intersection B, this part. Okay, then your fourth operation is your A intersection B complement. Okay, or A difference B also it can be taken. So this is the set of outcomes of the sample space which is a part of A and not a part of B. Okay, that means your A difference B, right? And the fifth one is your A complement intersection B, the set of outcomes of the sample space such that omega belongs to B and omega is not an element of A, or that is not an outcome of A. Okay, the sixth one is your A union B complement. Okay, so this is what the set of outcomes of the sample space such that omega is not an element of this and omega is not an element of B. So this means I'll tell you what is the physical meaning of all this. Okay, or in De Morgan's law form it is written as your A complement intersection B complement. Okay, so this is as per your De Morgan's law. Right, so now let's go for the physical meaning of all. Okay, so we got to know about the operations now. Now what are the meanings of this operations? Okay, so first one is your A complement. We know this is the complementary event of A. That means if I'll say what is the probability of getting at least one head in this sample space or in this random experiment is your 3/4, whereas probability of getting no head is your 1/4. So no head is a complementary event of the first event or the previous event you have taken. Okay, so similarly if I'll go for the second one, let us say your A union B. So physical meaning of this, the question will be given in the form of at least one of the events will occur. Okay, okay, it means either A or B. Okay, then your A intersection B is what? Both the events will occur. Okay, right, both the events. So now if I'll go for A intersection B complement, event A occurs whereas not B. Right, so A complement intersection B is your event B occurs whereas not A. Okay, then your A complement intersection B complement is your neither A nor B occurs. Or I can also denote it as A union B complement as per De Morgan's law I have told you. Okay, so this is your first, second, this was third, this was fourth, fifth and sixth. Okay, so now we'll go for a very interesting theorem of your probability, which is called your addition theorem of probability. Okay, what do we mean by the addition theorem? You are all well acquainted with this theorem. So if A and B, so I am taking only two events in a given sample space. Okay, A and B are two arbitrary events of a random experiment. Then what will happen? Probability of A union B is probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A intersection B. Right, the proof is quite simple. though I'll prove it here. Okay, the proof is, see, we have to write A union B in terms of two mutually exclusive events, right? So A union B can be written as A intersection B complement, okay, then plus A. I'll show you this probability, okay, the A union B as these two mutually exclusive events. Okay, see, A union B, A intersection B complement is what? Is this part. See, A intersection B complement is this part. Oh, sorry, this one. Okay, A intersection B is this part, and the B is this one. Okay, so A intersection B complement plus B will find you the entire A union B, right? So do I have made a mistake? Okay, sorry, this is B, right? Okay, so now if I'll take the cardinality or the number of outcomes favored to both, I can just take the cardinality of both the mutually exclusive events, right? Then what is this? This is the cardinality of A minus the cardinality of A intersection B plus the cardinality of B. Cardinality means the number of outcomes favored to both the events, an event. Okay, here I am taking. Okay, so if I'll just divide it with the sample space, the entire sample space, the sample space means the total number of exhaustive outcomes. So in the left hand side, I'll get the probability of A union B, which will be your probability of A, and with a little manipulation, I am just taking it here as the probability of B minus probability of A intersection B, right? So this is the very simple and quite crisp proof for the statement here, the addition theorem of probability. So the next exception is that if your A and B are mutually exclusive, then what will happen? Okay, so if A and B are mutually exclusive, events, that means your A intersection B is phi. Okay, phi means there is no common outcomes between your A and B, then your probability of A intersection B will be 0, right? Because there is no common entry between no common outcome between the both. Okay, that means your probability of A union B equals to probability of A plus probability of B, right? So let's go for few examples on this. So this is the very first example I have taken here. Okay, an integer is chosen at random from the first 300 digits. What is the probability that the integer is divisible by 3 or 5, right? So for the solution, what we know that the sample space has your 300 digits, that means the sample space is 30, or the cardinality of the sample space. Okay, so then we'll go for finding the events. So first one is your A. Let your A be the event of getting an integer divisible by 3, right? So the what will be the integers? So the integer will start with your 3, 9, 3, 6, 9, sorry, 3, 6, then your 9, then your 12, and definitely it will end with your 300. Okay, because 300 is okay. I forgot to write here. So let us say you're inclusive of 300. Okay, I have taken 300 also because I have taken the sample space as 300. Okay, so now if I'll say your second event as the event of getting an integer divisible by 5. That means what? It will start with your 5, 10, 15, and definitely it will end at 300 again, right? So I think it is clear for you. So now we will go for the A intersection B, which is also a prerequisite here because these are not mutually exclusive events. Okay, so this is, let us say, the event of getting the integer divisible by both 3 and 5. That means it will divisible by 15. It will be divisible by 15. Okay, so it will start with your 15, 30, 45. You go for the multiplication table for this, so it will end at 300, right? So now we'll find the probability of each of the event. So we'll find the probability of A as, so 300 divided by 3, so it will end at, so 100, right? So 100 out of the favorable case is 100, means there are 100 digits in 1 to 300 which are divisible by 3. 100 by 300, which is your 1 by 3. Okay, then your probability of B is 20, not 20, is 60 by 30. Okay, 60 by 300, that means your 1 by 5. Okay, similarly, if I'll go for probability of A intersection B, so I'll get your 15 or 20 by 300, so which is your 1 by 15, right? Now if I'll say the integer is divisible by 3 or 5, that means I am supposed to find probability of A union B. Let me just go with this fraction. Okay, so you'll get your 100 plus 60 plus minus 20, that means it will be your 140 by 300, right? That means the probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A intersection B. 160 minus 20 is 140 divided by this. So it will be what? If I'll just cancel out, I will get your 7 by 15. Okay, fine. Second problem we have. Two dice are tossed once. Okay, two fair dice, let us say your fair dice, definitely. Okay, not unfair. So two fair dice are tossed once. Find the probability of getting an even number on the first die or a total of 8. So let's find the solution for this as the sample space. Let's go for the sample space first. Okay, so if two dice are rolled twice, so let us say the outcomes of first die are your 1 to 6 first, then it will be ordered with your 1 to 6 again, right? So this is related to your first die and this is related to your second die, because those are rolled once only. Okay, so now what is the number, the sample space? The size of the sample space is 36, we know, because it will be ordered pair with 1 to 6 all the digits. Okay, so now we'll assign the two events. The first one is what is the probability of getting an even number. Okay, event of getting an even number on first die. Right, so what it will be corresponding to, let me just write the even on the first die. That means your 2, 4 and 6. Okay, 2, 4 and 6, and it will be ordered pair, or it will be paired with your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, because there is no restriction for the second die. Okay, so you will have the total number of, or the favorable outcomes for the first event is your 18 by, sorry, not only 18, because we are not writing the probabilities here. Okay, then your second event is your getting a total of 8, or the getting a total of 8, right? So it will again start with your 2. This problem we have solved in the previous one, right? We have found this one in the previous lecture. So it will start with your 2, 6, 3, 5, 4, 4, 5, 3 and 6, 2, right? Let me write those. So 2, 6, 3, 5, 4, 4, 5, 3 and 6 2. So these are the 5 outcomes we have which are favorable to the second event, right? Now your A intersection B, that means which are the outcomes which are common to both, right? So A intersection B is what? Because the first event is corresponding to the even number on the first eye, so we will concentrate on your 2 4 6 first. 2 4 and 6. So this will be 3 outcomes which are your common to both, right? So this is your 2 6 4 4 and 6 2. I think it is clear for you all, right? So your the cardinality of A intersection B is 3. Okay, then your it is said that what is the probability of getting an even number, that means your probability of A or a total of 8, A union B, right? So this is your 18 out of 36 plus 5 out of 36 minus 3 by 36, right, which is your 20 by 36, or I will say your 4 is your 5 by 9, okay, if I divide by 4. Then your third example is your an undergraduate applies for a job in 2 firms X and Y. The probability of his selection in firm X is 0.7, probability of selection, and being rejected from Y is 0.5. So this means an undergraduate is applying for a job, the probability of selection and rejection are given, okay, and the probability of at least one of his application being rejected is 0.6. What is the probability that he will be selected in one of the firms, right? So for the solution, what we will do, we will assign two events first. Let A be the event of getting selected in X, right, and B be the event of getting selected in Y, right? So it is given that the probability of a selection in firm X is 0.7. That means your probability of A is your 0.7, and the other data which is given is your being rejected from Y is 0.5. That means the probability of B complement is given as your 0.5, right? Then the probability of at least one of his applications being rejected is 0.6. So let me first find the probability of getting rejected from X is your 0.3, right, and probability of getting selected in Y is 0.5. So at least one of his applications being rejected is 0.6. That means it is given that at least one of his application being rejected, A complement intersection B complement, which is generally given as your probability of A intersection B complement as per the De Morgan's law is your 0.6. Okay, so these are the data given here. Then what is the probability that he will be selected in one of the firms? That means probability of A union B, definitely at least in one of the firms. You have to look at this. Okay, so now, so from this data I will get your, I have already got probability of A, probability of B. So the only thing I will need to find the probability of A intersection B, which is your 1 minus 0.6 is your 0.4, right? So probability of A union B or getting selected in one of the firms is your probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A intersection B, right, which is your 0.3, 0.5, sorry, 0.7, 0.5 is your 1.2 minus 0.4 is 0.8, right? So there is 80% probability that he will be selected in one of the firms, right? So now we'll have a few questions on related to GATE. So this came in 2014 for CSE. So let S be a sample space and two mutually exclusive events A and B such that A union B is the sample space, right? So let us say this is the sample space we have. We have two events A and B such that A union B will create you the entire sample space. If P denotes the probability of an event, the maximum value of probability of A and probability of B is what, right? So for the solution, what we will do, so it is given that A union B is this, that means here any one is the complementary event of the other, okay, both are complement to each other. So as A union B is the sample space, right, then your probability of B will be 1 minus probability of A, right? So A and B are complement to each other. So this is the fact we get to know from this fact, okay, because those are mutually exclusive also. Fine. So if I'll take the probability of A as x and probability of B as 1 minus x, of course, okay. So if your probability of A is x, then the probability of B is 1 minus x. So now what I will do, I have to maximize this probability of A and probability of B. So fx is a function of x, which is your probability of A and B, is your x multiplied by 1 minus x, right? That means your x minus x squared. So now by taking the first derivative test, I will get the critical point, which is your 1 minus twice x equals to 0, or x equals to 1 by 2. Fine. So we don't need to take the second derivative test, because second derivative is already negative 2, which is less than 0. That means at this point the function will attain, or the probability, the product of their probability will attain the maximum value, which is definitely your 1 by 2 multiplied by 1 by 2 is 1 by 4. So if it is given in until up to 2 points accuracy, you find the solution is your 0.25, right? So now let's go for the second question we have, which came in 2015 for CSE. Given that set A has your 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, and set B has the elements 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15. Two numbers are drawn, or the two numbers are randomly selected, one from each set, from A and B both, okay. What is the probability that the sum of the two numbers is 16? So first of all, we will get the sample space first, okay, or the sample size. So the sample size is what we can, if we'll associate the numbers of A and B, so I'll get your 2 will be associated with your 5, 3 will associated with again 5 numbers, so I'll get your 5 to the 4 into 5, right, because there are 4 numbers in set A, so I'll get your 4 multiplied by 5, which is your 20, right? That means they can be related to, means one of the element will be related to your 5 elements of B. So now two numbers are randomly selected, one from each set. What is the probability that the sum of the two numbers is equals 16? Okay. So let us say A be the event of getting the sum as 16. Sum as 16. So 2 will be associated with what? 14, right? So the favorable outcomes here is your 2 14, then your 3 13, right, then your 4 12 and your 5 and 11, right? So these are the cases which are favorable to the event A. So I'll say here the cardinality is here, or the is 4, right? So now the probability of A is 4 out of 20, or your 1 out of 5, or 0.20. Fine. Now let's go for the set of questions here. So in 2021, this year came for your civil engineering. Two identical cube shaped dice, each with faces numbered 1 to 6, are rolled simultaneously. Two, okay. So rolled simultaneously, we know the sample size is here 36, total number of outcomes, right? The probability that an even number is rolled out on each dice, that means if I'll take this event as A, so it will be associated with the outcomes as even number is rolled out on each dice. That means here it will be associated with here 2 4 6 for the first die and the 2 4 6 for the second die. So the cases, or the favorable cases for A is 9, so 9 out of 36, or 1 by 4. right? So I'll write here the probability of A is 9 out of 36 or 1 by 4. If it is in points, 2 points accuracy, so you'll take your 0.25, right? So this again came in 2021 here in civil engineering. In this figure, okay, this is square, PQRS is a square. The shaded portion is formed by intersection of sectors of circles with radius equals to the side of the square, right? So this is the radius of any sector here. That means the connection from your P to R, also from P to R in this side also. Okay, so the shaded portion is created by these two sectors of circles with radius equals to the side of the square and centers at S and Q. Okay, so now the probability that any point picked randomly within the square falls in the shaded area. So this question is generally related to your geometric probability. Generally in geometric probability, what you will do, you will find the area of the shaded region. So what is the criteria here is the probability of, if I'll say this is the event A, so this will be your area of shaded. I'll write here, let us see. Okay, so probability of A, which is the point lying in this shaded region, is your area of the shaded region divided by the area of square. Okay, because this is being kept inside a square. Okay, and the square also it is given within the square, right? So what is the area of the square? Area of PQRS with the side R is your R squared, right? So now we'll find the area of the shaded region. So if I'll take like this, let us say this is the sector of a circle, okay, with the radius as R. If this is the R, then what is this area? This will be 1/4 of the area of the circle, right? So that means the area of PSR, say, okay, so area of PSR whatever with this sector, I will get the area as your pi R square by 4, which is definitely same as the area of your PQR whatever with this sector we are getting. Okay, PQR, this one. Okay, area of PQR. Now the shaded portion is what? This is the surplus area of these two sectors. Okay, so the area of shaded portion will be the 2 times area of this sectors, any sector, let me say here one of the sector because both are same, minus R squared. That means this should be omitted from the shaded region. Okay, so this is your 2 times 4 pi R squared by 4 minus R squared, which is your pi by 2 minus 1 times R squared. So here what you will get, that area of the shaded region is your pi by 2 minus 1 R squared divided by area of the square is your R squared, is your pi by 2 minus 1. Okay, so within the square falls in the shaded region is your shaded area is pi by 2 minus 1. Fine. Now we will go for this one which came in 2021 for your this year for CSE. Okay, in second shift definitely. So there are 5 bags each containing the identical sets of 10 distinct chocolates. Okay, so so there are 5 bags here. So let us say 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so one chocolate is picked at random from each bag. So find the probability that at least 2 chocolates are identical is what? So what you will do, probability of getting at least 2 chocolates as identical or identical is same as the complementary event of getting 1 minus the complementary event of getting no chocolate identical, or let us say here all the chocolates are distinct. right? So if I'll say I have 10 chocolates here, so this can be drawn in 10 ways. If whatever chocolate I have drawn here and that cannot be same from the second bag, so I can reject that one and I will have 9 choices. Similarly, from the third bag I will have here 8 choices, from the fifth bag I will have 7, and from the sixth bag I will have 6 chocolates left, right? Because I have to reject all the chocolates which have been drawn previously, right? So this will be 1 minus 10 into 9 into 8 multiplied by 7 into 6 divided by 10 to the power 5 is the cases if I will not impose any kind of condition. Okay, so this will be what I think I'll get the solution as 0.6976 or something. Let me just use the calculator and show you what will be the solution. I think you can solve this one, right? So 1 minus 9 into 8 into 7 into 6 divided by 10 to the power 4 is what? 0.6976, right? This is the total number of exhaustive cases with no conditions we have imposed in the given problem, or the sample size we have, right? So the second question here is it came in mechanical for this year in second shift. A box contains 15 blue balls and 45 black balls. Okay, so let me just create a box. So 15 blue balls and 45 black balls. Let us say this is the bag we have. If 2 balls are selected randomly without replacement, so we are not keeping it back, the probability of an outcome in which the first selected is a blue ball and the second selected is a black ball. Okay, so this is, the balls are drawn one by one, so this is not a part of your the operation on the events, but this is a part of your conditional probability. So we'll get back to this problem in next lecture. Okay, so if I'll go for the first row of getting a blue ball, that means probability of getting a blue of 1, let me just represent as the first row. So this will be what? This can be done with your 15C1 divided by your 60C1, that means 15 out of 60, because there are 15 balls in the bag, right? So this is done without replacement. So now what happened, this complete the sample space is restricted with your 14 blue balls and 45 black balls. Now these are left in the bag. So for the second draw we will impose the conditional probability. That means what is the probability of getting the black ball in second draw given that blue in first draw, right? So this will be what? 45 out of 59, where the question says that the probability of getting the first and the second black, okay, first blue and second black, that means the probability of getting the blue one and the black in the second draw will be what? The probability of getting the blue in first draw multiplied by probability of getting the black in second draw given that blue in first draw, right? So this is the conditional probability we have. So 15 by 60 and 45 by 59. So I think you will get the solution as 45 by something, because this is 4, okay, 236. Okay, 59 multiplied by this is your 45 by 236, right? So that's it for today. So in next class I'll explain about the conditional probability, and thank you all for your patience and wish you all the luck. You try to solve as many problems you can solve.